right, you guys, welcome to the Convo Lounge with your hosts, Amir Anthony, Char Rochelle, and Antonio Crow. What are we talking about today, Char?
Love.
That's right. Love is. Antonio, you got something you want to break down for the listeners out there?
Love. Well, there's 8 types of love, but the three most, popular ancient Greek types of love are agape, which is unconditional love. You have eros, which is romantic love, and you have philia, which is affectionate love.
Nice.
What's up? And real quick for our audience over on YouTube, Char, show off the folk what you wearing on the.
Oh yeah.
That's what's
My
up.
Black Love sweatshirt from Boss Bags. You can find him on Instagram _@BossBags. Broadcasting Black Love, a love that I support, and then also the cast of Love Is. Will Catlett. Can't think of the young lady's name. Sorry, y'all. We'll plug it in. We'll have it edited across the screen.
There you go. For sure.
Nuri on the show, though. Nuri on the show. I can't think of her name. Michelle Weaver. Bam!
There you go.
For sure. All right. Well, let's get into more detail here on what we are discussing. There's a scripture from the book of Corinthians.
Yes. 1 Corinthians 13:4, I believe. Yep, 4 and 7. Yes. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but always rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
That's right. And I actually, that scripture I actually had throughout there at my sister's wedding.
Okay. Yeah, that's like the common wedding scripture that people throw out there.
Somebody was like, that's right.
Right. Like the quintessential wedding scripture. But it's true though. But then when you think about love as well, y'all know I love the Lord. So God is love, you know what I mean? So when we think about the idea of God and who God is to us, we can use that scripture interchangeably of God is patient, God is kind, God does not boast, he's not easily angered. So it also helps when you're in relationship with the Lord of knowing the essence of who God is.
Right. No, that's important. That's important. When I think of the scripture and also what Antonio broke down, what I think about is how love is something that is so quintessential where we currently are right now. Pandemic and with everything that's currently going on in the Black community and with police brutality and the solidarity that is being emphasized with all groups of people. I think it's really important that we continue to focus on because love trumps everything that we currently go through. So, Antonio, you getting a little excited over there. What you want?
Okay, so in the hip hop world, KRS-One had a song in the 80s, 90s, Love's Gonna Get You. And it basically spoke to material love and how that can sometimes be our demise as human beings.
I think that was before my time. I don't remember that song by KRS-One.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing hip hop song. Love's Gonna Get You, and basically it talks about I love my house, I love my car, but I love my chick. You know what I'm saying? But I love that girl. But at the end of the day, those elements of life, because he put them before what was important in life. Those kind of became his demise. But in the song, he talks about, how he sold drugs and now that changed his life. But yet, when you do certain things, it could you could end up in jail or you could end up without it. You can lose everything, right?
Yeah, that's true. And going back to the current climate and everything that's going on today, one of the songs that keep me most encouraged is Stevie Wonder's Love's in Need of Love Today. And I really think that we all need to band together, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, like all of us need to just band together and love. Like, y'all know my platform. I feel like love is the ultimate healer. And I think that love rules out hate. So love's in need of love today, since we're talking about music.
No doubt, no doubt. One love, Houdini.
Yes, one love, Bob Marley. One love. Yes.
You know, I think that I agree. Everything is definitely important. So when we discuss what is love, there's also self-love. Self-love from the perspectives of men and from the perspectives of women. Shardy, talk about self-love and like how influential that is in you and your personal growth.
Sure. Like, I would love to talk about my journey, but before I go there, like, I feel like women are always at the forefront of talking about self-love, but it's not so much talked about within the Black male community. So how do you guys affirm yourselves and love yourselves, especially with just being Black in America? Like, how do you pump yourself up and get ready to start the day as a Black male? Like, what do y'all do? Affirmations? Do y'all meditate? Like, what do y'all do to get your mind right as a Black man?
I'll start off, Antonio. I think for me, I got to give kudos to you, Shar, because you introduced me to meditation, and that's had a big influence on me in my life, and then also opening, and then talking to people or being in group text with those that you love, whether it's, you know, men or with friends. So I think, you know, when I can reach out to Antonio and also shout out to my cousin Jawan, you know, we share communication, we share scripture, we share things that is helpful because I look at those two as mentors for my development. So that love is important. And then you tap into the scripture, getting that spiritual love, which is important. And then that meditation, which is the self-love, taking time to breathe and be thankful for the body that you've been touched with. That's how I start my day. And then, you know, even though we're in quarantine, I still got to make sure I look presentable when I'm doing Zoom calls on the job. So self-love also includes self-care. You know, taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, making sure that you're staying fit, being mindful. Shout out to Dr. Mark on my previous episode, you know, having that lemon water, flushing your system out. So I think of all those things encompass self-love when you can take time to just think about the things that are important and are of value, and share the love across the realm of those that you are real close with, whether it's close friends or family or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of like my way of influencing self-love.
For me, self-love, I think of self-esteem, right? And basically, you know, me having the confidence to go out in the world and do what I have to do. I attribute it to how I was raised, and the way my mother instilled, you know, how to present myself in public. I also attribute it to the brotherhood that I have from the high school I attended, Sarah High School in Gardena. And I attribute it also to some of the mentors that I've had in my community. My brother Calvin Kressel, and then my blood brother Mark Armstrong, that we interviewed last week. Self-love for me is important. Like, outside of that, just saying it's self-love, I like to look good, feel good, and smell good. That's very important to me as a man. And I don't feel overconfident, but I just know that you know, I'm a king, and Amir and Jawan and I, we have this little inner circle called the Three Kings, and so it's a matter of iron sharpening iron. And I would like to say, in my community, I've been around gang bangers, drug dealers, hustlers, preachers, and even drug addicts. And I would just like to say that we've always tried to empower each other, no matter what level we were in the community, no matter if in jail, out of jail, we've always never looked down on anybody. You know what I'm saying? So self-love comes from from, just for me, it's just who I am. Like, I love myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that I'm sitting in the presence of kings. I love that you guys empower one another. I feel like that's what's lacking a lot of times. One of the things that resonated with me most is you said that we empower drug addicts and drug dealers. And I feel like a lot of times within the Black community, we don't have enough compassion for one another.
Right.
We kind of turn a blind eye to those who don't really drive the same way we drive. You know, we're all middle class, and I feel like, you know, when it comes to certain types of Black folks, we can some, not us, but like some Black people can kind of look down on them if they're uneducated, if they're not articulate. Right. And I think that what you said was, regardless, build them up.
Right.
Like that's our job to build one another up. To always recognize the king in somebody else or the queen in somebody else, absolutely, regardless.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because tables turn, you know what I'm saying?
Listen. Listen.
Oh, no doubt. Don't. You know, I when I thought about that uplifting and empowerment, I think Black love amongst Black men is important. And I appreciate the fact that Antonio talked about the three kings. And the influence on, you know, Black men who are older, and even how that mentorship is important. And I thought about Antonio, and I think brought it up in one of our production meetings, the UCLA basketball player, Jalen Hands. There was a mistake that one of his teammates made, and he had his head down and he lifted his chin up, like, you know, like, come on, King, like, let's do this. Like, we got something to accomplish here. And I felt that as a former athlete. I know how important it is when you have that brotherhood and you are in battle as a man, and how important it is to share that camaraderie and have that. And I think also with I want to give a shout out to my mother, Grady Etta Woods. I think with her, I received a lot of love and care and how to treat myself a certain way. Then also being blessed to have a Black father that raised me and have that love. I think that is very important, to have love amongst your unit, your family, your tribe. That is definitely key. And then the love that we have as a unit on the Convo Lounge. All that is important. But yeah, I want to echo what Antonio said. I like to look good, smell good, got to keep trimmed up. You know, you can't be floating around looking crazy. You know, the ladies ain't gonna feel that if you just like whatever. And I think, you know, I'm not trying to come off in a certain way, but there are some things that when I was before quarantine, I would always get a lot of shout outs for, you know, keeping myself on point, you know, dressing a certain way. I think that's just a swag that you have to have as a man. You just got to stay on top of everything. And that's universal. I think that.
Yeah, for sure.
That self-love is important. A man that can take time, you know, out of his day to eat right, train right. And the training is not only in the physical, but it's also in the spiritual too. And then it comes off. And people see that positivity. People see that, you know, you're always on point, dressing and doing this. And this one thing, my name Amir, it means prosperous and thriving prince. So when we shout out the three kings, we all kings. And, you know, we're all part of royalty. But I think all that self-love stuff is important. But I got to give a shout out to women, because without y'all, you know, it will be looking crazy.
No, I feel you. I definitely agree with you guys. Your sentiment, when you look better, you feel better. I agree 110%. But my self-love journey started inwardly. So I've always dressed nice. I've always cared about my appearance. But as I went through my journey of growth and evolution, it all started inwardly. And I learned that many people's capacity to love themselves is based on the perception of how other people around them receive them or perceive them. That we learn how to love ourselves based on what our mom, our peers, our dad, our sisters, and our brothers think about us. So a lot of what I had to do is unlearn everything about myself, or everything that I was taught about myself, and really hone into who Charlotte is at the core of herself. And my self-love journey began with writing out a list of everything I loved about Charlotte. And once that list was formulated, I was like, well, damn, I'm pretty dope. I love Charlotte. And from there, I started to surround myself with people who walked in lightness, who walked in love as well. And anybody who didn't bring out the best in me or whose energy diminished mine, family members included, I stopped hanging around. And that's jobs as well. If there was a job that didn't align with my spirit or my personal core values, I would leave. I had a conversation with a friend not too long ago, and he was like, we worked in retail together, and he was like, oh, you didn't stay there long. And I was like, yeah, no, like, because I don't do what doesn't serve me. I don't hang around with people who don't serve me, or bring me to my highest good. I don't. Like, I'm very sensitive to the types of energies that I'm around. But self-love is also, oh, go ahead.
So yeah, what you're speaking to is well-being and happiness. And it may come off like it's in a narcissistic way, but it's not. Basically, you have to take ownership of where you're going in your future.
Right. It's self-protection.
Right.
Self-love is becoming so loyal to yourself that you no longer tolerate anything that doesn't allow you to operate in your true authenticity. So that's literally been my journey of self-love. It's just making sure that I'm always honoring who I am, who God created me to be. You know, we say we are made in the image of God and the likeness of God.
Right.
Self-love starts with realizing that God did not create a person to walk around this earth fearing, having doubt, and being insecure. That's not what the Creator is doing. So if that's not what the Creator is doing, we are doing ourselves a disservice as God and goddesses of diminishing who we are at the core and walking around in shame, guilt, insecurity, whatever have you. So I feel like self-love is really getting to know who you are at the core. When your mask is off and nobody is in the house with you, who are you? Mm-hmm. And that's your good and bad attributes, like accepting both of them. The same way I accept the things that are light and great about me, I also accept my shadow. I also accept my darkness, you know, and it gives me the capacity and the room to navigate through changing those behaviors and those characteristics about myself.
No doubt. And, I appreciate the path that you're on with that, Shar, because when we think of self-love, it's not a selfish mindset. If things that I look at, and I was able to take a look at this now, is the 5 reasons why self-love is not selfish is 1, is having respect for yourself leads to having respect for others. 2, positive things about you supports a positive attitude about others. The third one, taking care of your happiness first leaves your heart open to caring for others. And the last 2 is believing in your own abilities allows you to pursue passions that can inspire others, and loving yourself makes you a happier, kinder, and more positive person. And I think all 3 of us encompass those things of that positivity. Like, I know you, Shar, I've known you for many years, 20 years, and you
20 years.
I've always admired your positivity, and I think that's the reason why we've always been able to flow in jail. Same thing with Antonio. I'm known for over almost 15 years, and he met me when I was at a high school. And the fact that, I appreciate the fact that we were able to come together to have this vibe and to build upon something so powerful is because we exude in positivity. We don't allow things to beat us up and take us down. And I appreciate that, because there's times when people come to me and I'm like, I'm not even specialized in that area, but there's something about me that this person is gravitating to, the magnetism.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Amir, thank you for sharing scripture with me. Like, I shared a scripture with a coworker, and that started off her week, and it's the little things that I think are important. And when you can exude in that, I think that self-love is not a selfish mindset. We want our listeners to make it clear that it's extremely important to have that. Self-love has no color lines. It's for everybody. It is universal. And I think we all need to focus on that as we continue to navigate where we are right now.
Yep. And here's the thing, like self-love is not selfish, it's self-full. It's filling yourself, because you can only give from your overflow. I think the detriment of people is we keep trying to pour from an empty cup, and you can't do that. You can only pour when your cup is full.
Right.
out of the abundance
Right.
of who you are, and you cannot be abundant if you are empty. So self-love is filling yourself up.
If you don't share it, if you hold that energy, then what benefit does your counterpart or someone that needs that, that becomes selfish. So yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So that's true. And I just think back to like the first lesson of the Bible. I was reading the Bible the other day, the book of Genesis, when they talk about Adam and Eve and how Eve was deceived by the serpent and they were hiding from God because they had shame. And I feel like shame is the biggest blocker of self-love and like really living in your truth.
Right.
God never condemned them and never shamed them. Like everybody takes that part of the scripture and it's like, oh my gosh, they walked around in shame. And I feel like thousands of years, centuries of years, lifetimes of years later, we're still doing that, when all God simply did was cover their shame and say, okay, now you know better, do better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like those things that you shame about yourself, love and accept those things too.
Laugh it off.
Love and accept every fault, every mistake. Like Jay-Z said, like an L is not an L, it's a lesson.
Exactly. You gotta learn how to
shrug it off. It's still divine.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to shrug it off. You gotta laugh it off. You gotta smile. Sometimes, you think back and you say, what was I thinking? You laugh about it and keep pushing. That's really what it comes down to. Because if you hold that energy in, you know how you see certain people in public and you just like, how is that person like, they beat themselves up? Like that's a lack of self-love right there. And people always ask, how do you look so young, at your age? And I'm like, I don't hold on to nothing. I let it go. I laugh at it. I cry. I talk to people that are near and dear to me, and you just let it go. And you don't allow that stuff to just be held onto your back like a backpack, and you're carrying all this weight of hate, this anger, this weight of, I don't like this about me, ... Like, you got to let go and release and take all that stuff out of your backpack and keep it pushing. Straight up.
Yes. The gospel according to Erykah Badu. Bag lady. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, but what
pack light.
What you're basically speaking to is you're learning yourself, and you're learning what is it gonna take to help propel you to move forward in life. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Because we all need to have our strengths, because we have strengths and weaknesses, right? So and we live through peaks and valleys. So, just because we're having a bad time in life, it doesn't mean that we're not supposed to love ourselves, right? Even when sometimes we doubt ourselves, like having love for ourselves is still key. And also having that inner motivation that is needed in order, because sometimes we don't have anyone to talk to.
Right.
Sometimes we can't share our stories. Sometimes our stories are really, we can barely handle them. How is somebody else going to handle them, right? So we still have to work through that inner challenge that we have.
That's what therapy is for, right? I've been in therapy for 3 years, and there is a lot that I've put on my therapist that she's been able to help me navigate through. Like, professionals can handle it. Your friends may not be able to. Your families might not be able to. But a professional therapist, a licensed social worker, they can handle it. Let it go. There's nothing that we should be holding on to. Learn the lesson and release it.
Yes, that's the key. That is definitely the key. And there are opportunities to get therapy virtually. I think technology has allowed us to connect, especially if you are, as Antonio was echoing, if you don't have anyone to talk to, and you don't have family members or a tribe of individuals who are glowing in positivity that you can speak to, there are opportunities for us out there, especially where we are right now, that you can connect and have those conversations. But it's definitely important to share those things that are necessary to keep things moving. But you cannot hold that stuff in. It is not the business, especially if you're doing it right now in this pandemic. And for all our listeners out there, I hope that this current message that we are currently giving out there, whether it's scripture or certain tips or things that can be done, we are not experts, but we can definitely understand how it can definitely have an influence on you where you are right now with this pandemic. I would definitely take a look into meditation, reading certain things that can just help you navigate through what you're going through right now. Because if you're bottling this stuff in during the pandemic, and it will be over soon, we are going to come back to reality. But as Star touched on our episode 1, the Black Lives Matter episode, this is definitely a time for healing and reflect and breathe and take time to love yourself. If you are not doing it, do it now, because it will make an influence on you.
Yeah, some practical ways to love yourself, just to make it very, very plain. It's the same grace and compassion you would give to somebody. Give that to yourself. The same way you will forgive somebody for making a mistake or for offending you, forgive yourself.
Right.
The same way you tell somebody else you love them, love yourself. Like, when's the last time y'all looked in the mirror and said, Amir, I love me.
This morning when I was
Antonio, I love me.
Right.
I'm not gonna be the one in the mirror talking about I love me, but I express it in various ways. And I always have, and it's not because I was raised to, it's just that's who I am.
Yeah.
I feel like that's who I am.
Yeah.
I know I did this morning. When I woke up this morning, I had a plan set before we had, get everything going for this morning. I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, man, this is a good looking brother right here. I love me. I love me.
You gotta affirm yourself.
Here's the thing. Me some me.
Here's my last point, subject matter B on self-love. Self-love is holding yourself and those around you to a standard of how you want to be loved and treated. And I think that when everybody preaches like you can't love anybody else until you love yourself, it's true. I've tried to love somebody for my brokenness, all of my previous relationships.
Yeah.
And I've been cheated on, lied to, manipulated. Now that I hold myself to a certain standard, those things just won't jive for me. Because the partner who comes into my life has to love me to the capacity that I love myself, which is a lot or more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, again, like stop y'all, like stop trying to love from a place of brokenness. One, because there's healing. There is healing. There's the capacity to heal.
Right.
So love you. Focus on yourself. You are the person that has to sleep with you day in and day out.
Right.
Not anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I see people even in this quarantine season who are like antsy to get out and be around people because they just can't deal with themselves. That's scary.
Yeah.
I love my company so much that I'm nervous on letting somebody else in. Like I could be at home by myself for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This quarantine has been a breeze. I laugh, I dance, I party solo. Like I love my own company. I'm dope. And I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying like I'm good energy to be around.
You are. And for all our listeners out there, I'm going to plug in Char Rochelle's Instagram at Char Rochelle.
Yes.
Yes. She has the most, huh?
No, so I was going to say, this is how fun I am to be around. My friends call me Charlotte because I'm lit.
Hey, listen. For all our listeners out there, follow Char Rochelle at Instagram because I told her, I said, crack me up when I go on your IG story. She does these things. She'll poke fun at reality television, primarily some of the relationship shows. Which one is the one you always watch all the time? You had me
90 Day Fiancé.
Yes, 90 Day Fiancé. And when I was visiting her, y'all, she had me watching it, and I was sucked in because she has commentary on the show. Yep. It's hilarious, and she needs to have her own show when she does that because it is so much fun because when she does these on her IG stories, it feels like you are there with her in the moment, given that it's a pandemic. And I always tell her all the time, I said, you have me rolling right now. I don't even need to watch the show. Just the fact that your commentary just adds more to how much fun it is. But yeah, you are lit for sure. You're one of a kind.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. All right, I'm coming off my soapbox. I just, here's the thing.
No,
I think the reason why I'm preaching it so much is because it changed my life for the better. You know, like it brought me to a space and a place where nobody can tell me shit about me.
Right.
You know, you can constructively criticize me, but you can't tell me who I am because I already know.
I feel the same way, Shar, because sometimes we allow the influence of others to kind of mold us. And that's not how in life it works. That's not how it works for me, because I am my own person. Right. And if I don't build me up, I can't depend on somebody else to build me up. That doesn't work.
That is not the business right there. If you live your life with an expectation of changing for someone, that's good luck with that in life. Good luck with that in life, because that ain't gonna take you nowhere. You got to be able to accept the things that God has given you and has blessed you with, and take those gifts and roll with them, and make it happen by any means necessary. It's like cooking from scratch.
I mean, I just even want to just piggyback on this, because we talked about trauma, and psychologists said that children from 0 to 5 who experience trauma, their lives are crippled, right? And so when I was 0 to 5, I had some trauma in my life. I didn't even know that it was called trauma, right? So up until I used to work at the Project Fatherhood, and I went through a training with the Project Fatherhood. And this is when I heard this statistic. And because I had encountered this trauma and I didn't know, yes, I've had challenges, and I'm in my 40s now, so I've had challenges along the way, but I didn't really know what was the cause of the challenges. So when I heard specifically that children that experience trauma between 0 and 5, their lives are crippled, I immediately responded to, that's not me. Because I've been raised to believe in God. I was raised to be more than a conqueror. You know what I'm saying? I've been building myself up to be strong, to give love, and to receive love. So a lot of times we don't even know what is going on inside of us. You know what I mean? So therefore, it's good to have friends. It's good to go to counseling, go to therapy. All of that works in our favor. And then we won't allow people to mold us. We won't live under their expectations. We'll realize that we have to create who we're to be.
So as we continue to navigate on the importance of self-love, how do y'all feel about looking for love? I think we kind of tapped on it, but like expanding on it, like looking for love in all the wrong places, you know?
Well, I'm just going to echo my first sentiment before we dive into this next topic. If you're looking for love in all the wrong places, it's because you're not looking inward. However, once you look inward and you're self-full and you're looking for a partnership, are we sliding in DMs? Are we on dating sites? We can't meet in the club because of COVID, but like where are people meeting? Grocery stores, gas stations,
Target.
Where are we finding love?
At Target.
That's funny. Well, I think that, with the pandemic, I think that individuals are probably finding love and opportunities where it's from someone from your past that you probably miss an opportunity on. I think that those are important. So I think maybe those are the things that people are finding. I don't think they're out there looking for it. I think that there are just it's an opportunity where things are happening in the universe, where they're connecting with someone from their past or present that maybe had an influence on them, and they're connecting to make things happen. But maybe it's in the virtual world. I don't know. I haven't really had a chance to talk to people who are currently out there, but I'm assuming that right now, some of your virtual dating sites are probably booming right now for opportunities for people to find love. But I think that if you're going out there looking for it, I don't think that's the right way to do it. If you're forcing it, it is not the right way to do it. I just think it needs to happen organically. The universe, allow the universe to kind of manifest that for you, so it can be someone from your past, your present, that can turn into your future. Snap, snap, snap. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
That is a word, friend.
Feel
organically. I tried online dating. I personally hate it. Because it brings out like the shallowness in me. You know what I mean? Because you can only see this person's picture, what they do for fun, their blurb about who they are. And then as a woman, I look at their height and I'm like, nope, I'm good. He's 5'8". That's whack. When if I met him in person and our chemistry was driving, I would hang out with him.
Right.
So online dating just isn't for me. And there was just like creeps. And I just don't have patience.
Right. I think once we find ourselves, we can find love, if that's what we're looking for.
That's really what it comes down to. I think
that,
I don't think it's, if you're testing the water to see if it can work for you to do online, do it, but don't allow that to be your main emphasis for finding love. Like, try all of them. Try all of them and see what works for you. We're in a trial season right now. So, we've been on this trial now for over, what is it, probably going on 120 plus days or so. So allow that trial to continue to manifest in the way that it needs to for you. So try everything and see what it works for you. Some things may be for someone that it may not. And I think another thing is that we live in a copycat society, and we think this because someone else was able to receive love in this space, that I have an opportunity too. Let me do the same thing. Let me try it. And that's not the way to do it. That is not cool. And if you do that,
that is so true, friend.
Then that is whack. That is like whack. Don't do it, y'all. Don't do it.
Yep.
Real truth.
Yeah. I have a friend who thrives online, like these dating sites. She thrives, but it does not work for me. And I think if you're looking for love, know what you want. Know what you're looking for. You know what I mean? You got to know exactly what you want in a partner. Some people believe in lists, some people don't. But I believe that you should at least know like what core values you want in a partner. And anything that doesn't align with that as you're meeting people, say no. Say no to it. Like, stop hooking up with people just because you're bored. That's whack. Stop wasting your own time.
Right.
Time you could be loving yourself. But yeah, like, know what you want before you go looking for love. Know what qualities you want in a partner. Because at this point, we're all in our 40s or pushing 40. We should know what we want in a partner. We should know what works for us and what does not. It should be crystal clear.
Super.
Should be.
Your mindset at 25 is not going to, it should not, and it better not be what it is at your current age. And if you are, then definitely take time during this season to work on that. Because to echo your point, I think we have to be very mindful of what it is we're looking for in your life partner, and if you're not looking for a life partner, that's okay. You don't, this is not your time. I think that's another thing. Too. People try to force things. And if it's not for you, it's not your time. That gives you time to work on yourself. That gives you time to put a comprehensive list together. And it's not, and the thing is that list should not be things that think in a shallow mindset. Think of things that are important to you, that are, everyone should have a value system when it comes to what you're looking for in a partner. And try to look into that. And then don't seek the opinions of those that don't have it all together.
Right.
Don't do that.
Don't
cheat yourself, y'all. Don't make a cheat sheet and trying to think that it's going to manifest as something that's going to be off the chain for you. Don't do it. Cheating does not work.
What do you mean?
Like putting together a list of things that someone told you to put together. Like, she has to have this, that, like, focus on the things that are inward and not outward.
Yeah.
Focus on those things first and then allow it to build. So don't cheat yourself.
Yeah, that is true.
All right. Well, basically that's how people come together from the physical.
In some cases, yeah. But sometimes, like, well, I know for me as a woman, there are men who I've met who aren't my type, but are hilarious. And I'm like, I want to talk to you a little bit more. Like, I love his conversation. So right. I want to, but men are physical. Men are a little more shallow than women are.
You think so?
So, yeah, like I could fall for sense of humor over looks any day.
Okay. Yeah,
but you can't look like the dude that Issa was having sex with on season, like that, the TSA dude. You can't look like that.
Bring him up. I knew I was waiting for you to bring that up because you texted me that episode. And you was like, look, I can't have no big nigga on top of me.
Oh, my stomach. Watch my husband be big now, y'all.
Yo,
yeah.
I was like, only you would say something like that. Once again, when it comes to TV and reality TV, you are hilarious because you always find a way to amuse me. But no, I think that it is important that we kind of visualize what it is you want. You know, whether it's a vision board or if it's something that you're praying about. I think that's key because I think sometimes we pray for the wrong things and we're not focusing on what's important. So I think, like to my point, don't cheat yourself. Don't create a cheat sheet that's going to help you find something. Take your time. Think of this time, like what can be done that can make you a better person in a relationship. You know, what can make you a better person. Like if it's sharing certain things. Always the thing. If you have someone right now in this season and you're finding ways to be creative and can continue that connection, there are plenty of things that you can do. Whether it's reading a book together, whether it's sharing a TV show together, there are so many things, etc., that you can do. But I think the wrong thing to do is to just completely shut yourself off. Don't do that. Like, don't unplug yourself from what's out there. Stay plugged in, y'all.
Yeah.
Stay plugged in to self-love. Don't unplug yourself from the self-love. Don't unplug.
Yeah. And partnership is just that. It's partnership. So one person should be weighing the other person down or being a burden to your partner. Like, y'all are supposed to be lifting each other up. Iron sharpens iron in every relationship, including your romantic ones.
It does. And do you think that sending messages, like whether it's text messages or emails that kind of are like little love tokens or things that can share, those are important too, though. Mm-hmm. Those are very important. Instead of going to DM and dropping stuff in the DM, like think about what you're going to send before you send it.
It's like the little things matter.
If you're sending something, make sure it's something of value.
Oh, like if you're sending a meme to your boo?
Not even
or like a person of interest.
Like, be mindful of what you're sending that person when you're sharing that with them. Just don't send anything just to be sending it. Like, have some kind of yeah. And I think sometimes that can get lost in translation. So like, send something that has value that you think would have an impact on that person.
Well, I'm from the I guess the school of thought that little things matter. So it's the little things like the hellos and the good nights. How was your day? You know, sometimes people are so busy in life that they forget to even ask, how was your day?
Yeah, right. You're right. And Tori, you're also from the age of approaching a woman and asking her for her phone number, whereas like our generation, dudes are hiding behind their keyboards,
right,
just to approach a woman. Like, I would love for men to get back to, like, you see something you want, you walk up to her and you say something.
What do you mean hiding behind the keyboard? Like, what do you mean?
Sliding in DMs.
Virtual meetings.
Only meeting people online. I had a guy, this is a real life example. I had a guy who I met casually at like an event. It was a horse riding event. And we talked at the horse riding event. Mind you, like, I'm the type of woman who I'm always smiling. I'm very approachable. Right. So no man could ever feel like, oh, I can't approach her. Like, I'm always smiling-ish. But yeah, like I made myself very approachable, whatever have you. Within that same week, we happened to be on the same dating site. And he approached me on the dating site and asked me for my phone number there and asked me to hang out after that, opposed to this 3 to 5 hour period we spent together at this event.
Okay, so that's kind of like to my point then. Like, if you're going to do something, do it in the moment. Don't slide in and do it in the virtual space where you have that opportunity face to face. I think that's something that our generation has an issue with. I agree. Like, just stepping up and just what's the word?
I mean,
frozen.
I was in that era of meeting people in person, and then the World Wide Web was created. I was never the type of person to be going in chat rooms and whatnot. But then they created MySpace. Y'all remember MySpace?
I do, but the fact that you said World Wide Web shows your age, brother.
Right, because the World Wide Web was created.
World Wide Web, wow.
AKA for our millennial listeners, the internet.
Right, and so, might as well go ahead and shout out AOL chat room.
Right. That's the timeline. What I'm speaking to was the timeline. So it was the World Wide Web. It was chat rooms. Then, like you said, AOL. And I was never a part of that. I didn't even have the internet. But when MySpace happened, it was a whole nother world out there, because it wasn't quite it wasn't a Match.com. It was more of like a neighborhood. Like you could meet people, you could buy stuff. You know what I mean? It was a social network in many ways. And so I've had friends from MySpace that I'm still in contact with, right? Just like someone that I would meet at a UCLA party, or I meet at Target, or I meet at the Century Club. Like I'm able to go through the internet or in person interchangeably with no problem.
Guys, take notes from Tori, Antonio. Like,
if
you see a woman, just approach her. I get it, rejection sucks, but
shout out to the World Wide Web.
Right.
No, straight up. No, I think that it is important as men that we, if we see something that we like, approach it. You know, don't be afraid, because what's the worst that can happen? I think that's really cool. I mean, as we continue on with this episode, you know, it's just been a lot of hidden gems and a lot of things that we touched on. Is there any last minute things that you want to our listeners to know in regard to this topic of self-love, which is extremely important right now?
I would like for listeners to know, especially the female audience, if you're looking for a book that can walk you through the process of self-love, there's a book. Don't be put off by the title, but it's called Calling in the One. And although the preface of the title, I feel like it's almost like a what do they call it? Like those things to get your attention.
Like a motivation.
Clickbait.
Yeah, like a clickbait. It's almost, the title is almost clickbaitish, but it's literally therapy in a book that helps you to walk through any past trauma, and really learn to love and grow and develop yourself. It helps you to look at your previous failed relationships and see where you could have been the issue and where you can improve on. And then it helps you to look at the characteristics of what you want in a partner based on who you are as a person, like who you authentically are. So it's called Calling in the One. It's by Catherine Thomas Woodard, and I'll put the name and the link. But listen, that book changed my life. It's like the Bible 2.0.
Wow, that's deep. Well, I think for me, if I want to go ahead and echo what you just said, for all of our listeners from the male audience, our men, I think it's important to embrace brotherhood and embrace, having a tribe of mentors who are men, especially Black men. I think it's definitely important. I think any other group of men of color, I think it's important to embrace, to have that self-love, but also have those that are familiar with what you're going to in your journey. So if it's uncles, if it's cousins, if it's your brother, I know I have a major influence on my brother. Shout out to my brother Ahmad. And I also know I have a major influence on other young men who look at me and say, wow, you know, this or that about you. And I appreciate having, you know, people like Antonio Crow and people like my cousin Juwan and other family members. But I think if I was on the line of books, I think a book that I would like for our male listeners to listen to is The Way of the Superior Man by David Dida. It's basically the ultimate spiritual guide for men. What is your true purpose in life? Also, what do women really want? What makes a good lover? If you're a man reading this or wanting to reading this, it's definitely something that's going to add, you're going to ask questions about yourself, and you're going to ask questions on why haven't I thought about this in the first place. So I think The Way of the Superior Man, and I'll put it out there and flash it for our YouTube listeners. But it's definitely a really good read. You can order it on Audible, and I've had the chance to, you know, just go through it and just say, wow, this is definitely a book that can help me as I navigate in this journey of love.
So I have 3 points. One is forgive yourself for the mistakes that you make. 2, it was said, self-love teaches others how to love you, right? And 3, if I don't love myself, how can I expect anyone else to love me?
How?
Yeah.
How? Nobody wants your brokenness. They don't.
Nobody.
They don't.
Nobody. Well, I think that we've all made some really good points on this episode of Love Is ... And you can follow us, Shar, on
Shar Rochelle.
Antonio Crow.
Yeah, Antonio Crow Clothing, the Convo Lounge, also.
And you can also follow me at the _prosperous_1, the prosperous one, on my personal Instagram. And then you can also check out this episode on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, the Convo Lounge. You can follow us now at Twitter at the Convo Lounge. And then you can also listen to this episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Convo Lounge.
Wait, one more point. I'm sorry. Love is love. Happy Pride Month to my family, my LGBTQIA family. Love is love. I love y'all. I'm an ally. Happy Pride Month.
No doubt. That's a good way to close out the month of June. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Stay blessed. Peace.